ABC 10 News at 5 starts right now.
In just 2 days, local teachers will be eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. The move, widely hailed as a vital step towards reopening our schools. The changes we can expect to see in the coming weeks as teachers and students prepare to head back to campus. And could fans return to Petco Park for the baseball season? The letter Supervisor Jim Desmond sent to Governor Gavin Newsom to reopen the stadium. Plus the major drug bust that unfolded inside a Claremont home.
ABC 10 News at 5 starts now.
And good evening. I'm Steve Atkinson. I am joined remotely by my co-anchor, Lindsay Pena. We're going to be checking in with her shortly. But first, we are just days away from San Diego teachers getting vaccinated and weeks away from San Diego Unified reopening in-person classes. With so many changes happening, ABC 10 News is looking into how the rest of the school year will shape up. We start with our 10 News reporter, Mimi Alcala, on how the county is getting teachers ready for their shots.
Mickey Sullivan is a middle school science teacher at Fulton K-8 in the Skyline area.
I miss my students terribly. I'm really excited to see them face to face.
San Diego Unified is eyeing a mid-April return date if all teachers and staff are vaccinated. And the county announced educators are among the group of essential workers eligible for COVID-19 vaccines starting Saturday. Police officers and food and ag workers are also included.
Because there are so many people in phase 1B, tier 1, we're working with the county to help prioritize access for the education employees, K-12 education employees.
Laura Josh is the area vice president for the California Schools Voluntary Employees Benefits Association, or VEBA.
We are a public nonprofit trust that provides health care and well-being services for public sector employers, including school districts.
VEBA is working with the San Diego County Office of Education to get educators vaccinated as quickly as possible.
So we will be using the county guidelines to determine who will have first access to the system to schedule their appointment.
The county says 20% of the vaccines will be set aside for transitional kindergarten through 12th grade teachers and staff. Employees can go to vivavaccinates.com to sign up for the latest updates, and Josh says they will then be notified by employers when they can sign up for their shot. While Sullivan is excited to get back into the classroom and offer students a hands-on science experience, she's concerned that some families may let their guards down, causing the virus to spread.
Families, not all, but many families are just going to be like, yay, now we can do whatever we want and go out into society and go to gatherings and unmask and concerts and parties, and then kids are going to bring that back to school.
We have an idea on how large-scale in-person learning can look by checking on large school districts in other states that are already open. Team 10 reporter Adam Rakusin looks how California's plan compares to a district in Florida that brought back more than 100,000 students.
At schools across California, things look different. In San Diego, frustration.
Enough is enough. This has taken way too long. They're dragging their feet, and we can tell.
Meanwhile, on the central coast of California, a long-awaited reopening.
I think it's a good start for them just to be here a couple hours.
And in the Central Valley, some uncertainty.
We are planning to return students for in-person instruction as soon as we can meet all of the safety guidelines that have been put forth by the state.
This map shows the reopening status of schools around the state. Hybrid and distance learning online are still the main ways students in California are getting an education. This week, California Governor Gavin Newsom said lawmakers are close on a deal that would pump money into districts to help get kids back into the classroom. The state also agreed to set aside 10% of vaccines for teachers and school staff.
We've been engaged for weeks now, months, candidly, on getting our schools safely reopened for in-person instruction, doing it in a very deliberative way.
While California lawmakers negotiate, some schools in other states are already back to in-person instruction.
We reopened 100% of our schools. That's about 400 different campuses on October 5th for every single student based on parental choice.
Alberto Carvalho is the superintendent of Miami-Dade County Public Schools. It's the nation's fourth largest school system with nearly 350,000 students and 40,000 employees. Carvalho says about 47% of students are now back in the classroom.
Schools have never been a problem here in Miami-Dade because the environment is extremely well controlled. Therefore, the conditions are such that the risk of direct contamination or secondary contamination in the school is very rare, if at all,
Carvalho says the district created a transparency tool, set up contact tracing, and modifies student movement within schools. They also require masks, mandatory hand-washing cycles, social distancing, and electrostatic disinfection of buildings on a daily basis.
We went one step further with partnerships with the University of Miami Pediatric Unit for the mobile testing of students. We've been testing our employees since about March last year, and now we're accelerating the vaccination of our school site personnel who happen to be 65 years of age and older.
While Florida and California have different approaches to public health and different speeds on when kids return to the classroom, I think everyone can agree on this.
Why is it important to bring these kids? Because there's no place like the schoolhouse.
Adam Rakusin, ABC 10 News.
To hear more about how Miami-Dade was able to open, we've included an extended video of our interview on our website, 10news.com. Just click on the rebound.
And here are our latest numbers on the coronavirus in San Diego County. 519 new cases were reported today. That brings our total to nearly 259,000. There were also 30 deaths, bringing that total to 3,216. Two San Diego County supervisors from opposite political parties say they support fans being allowed into Padres games by opening day. Our ABC 10 News reporter John Horn explains why nothing will happen without a green light from the governor.
The Padres are scheduled to open the season April 1st at Petco Park. As it stands, the county would need to drop 2 coronavirus tiers by then for fans to be allowed in.
But he has adjusted things back and forth.
County Supervisor Jim Desmond is calling on Governor Newsom to make another change to coronavirus restrictions. This one to allow a limited number of fans into Petco Park when the Padres host Arizona to start the season.
Padres have gotten fantastic, and unfortunately people can't go to see it, but that's why we're trying to push for the effort to hopefully on opening day to get fans in the stadium.
Desmond, a Republican, sent this letter to Governor Newsom on Thursday suggesting he allow 25% capacity at Petco Park, or just over 10,600 fans. The letter notes case rates are falling and that 22,000 fans went to the Super Bowl.
I'm not on a speed dial, I can tell you that.
But the push got a boost Thursday afternoon when Supervisor Nathan Fletcher, a Democrat and ally of the governor, said he too would like some fans in the stands by opening day. Padres CEO Eric Grupner addressed that earlier this week.
I think we feel confident that when the time is right, and we think it's coming relatively soon, that we can reopen Petco Park and it'll be one of the safest places for anybody to be in San Diego.
He says the team has devoted time and resources preparing to host fans in a safe way. John Horn, ABC 10 News.
And the Padres say they are working with the 4 other California teams on reopening plans. We've reached out to the governor's office for a comment. We're waiting to hear back. And you can keep up with any new developments surrounding the pandemic by downloading our free mobile app. Just go to the App Store and search 10 News. We now have breaking news from Washington, where the U.S. has launched airstrikes in Syria. Now, those airstrikes targeted facilities near the Iraqi border used by Iranian-backed militia groups. The Defense Department says this is in response to a rocket attack against U.S. forces in Iraq more than a week ago. The Biden administration is in the middle of trying to renew negotiations with Iran after former President Trump withdrew from that 2015 nuclear deal. This is the Biden administration's first military action.
4 people are behind bars tonight after a major drug bust in Claremont. DEA agents served a search warrant to this home near Claremont Drive and Balboa Avenue early this morning. That raid turned up several ounces of fentanyl, meth, and PCP. Crews wore hazmat gear as they continued to sweep the house to prevent breathing in harmful levels of fentanyl. Neighbors say the bust isn't surprising at all.
Within the past 2 months, I'd say probably about 30 times the authorities have been at that property.
The 4 people arrested are identified as Joseph Guzman, Tommy Shedd, Lauren Murphy, and Jesse Hoover. They're facing several felony and misdemeanor charges, including possession and sale of narcotics. A man on parole is back in jail after police officers say he attacked his wife at Coronado Beach. The 23-year-old man was arrested last night. Police say just before 9 o'clock, a woman called to report that her husband had tried to kill her during an argument. She says he dragged her into the water and tried to bury her alive in the sand. She was later taken to the hospital with traumatic injuries. That man was booked into the downtown jail for attempted murder and other charges. He will be in court next month. And the man accused of rehearsing a mass shooting at a downtown San Diego hotel pleaded guilty today. 32-year-old Steve Hamoki from Spring Valley was charged with illegally having an assault rifle and loading it in front of his children. Law enforcement zeroed in on him after he posted chilling YouTube videos of himself aiming guns at people from inside the Sophia Hotel. Hamoki was arrested in December of 2019. He now faces up to 3 years in prison.
The deadline is quickly approaching for organizers of the Recall Newsom effort to submit their signatures. They have until March 17th. Right now, those organizers say that they have over 1.8 million signatures, and that's more than the 1.5 million needed to get the recall on the ballot. Keep in mind, those signatures, they're in the process of being verified. Our ABC affiliate in Los Angeles compiled this map to show us where the majority of signatures are coming from. Those darker blue areas, they indicate the counties where there are more signatures. As of February 5th, just over 2% of voters in San Diego County signed that petition. More registered voters in the Central Valley and Northern California support the recall. Capitol Police knew armed extremists were primed for violence January 6th, but the wild invasion was far worse than they ever expected. That was the word today from the Capitol Police Chief. ABC's Mary Alice Parks has more from today's hearing on what went wrong.
In her first public appearance since January 6th, Acting Capitol Police Chief Yogananda Pittman saying the insurrectionists intended to send a message that they could disrupt the legislative process. Pittman adding that early intelligence now suggests some of the same extremist groups could be planning future attacks.
We know that members of the militia groups that were present on January 6th have stated their desires that they want to blow up the Capitol and kill as many members as possible with a direct nexus to the State of the Union.
There's been considerable finger pointing between top security officials the last few days, frustration about mistakes more easily identified in hindsight. Acting Sergeant at Arms Tim Blodgett admitting there was inadequate preparation, questioning why there was a rush to get some supplies but not more.
It was a good decision to expedite the delivery of the helmets, but it also raises question as to why the officers did not have the helmets on hand.
Hundreds of law enforcement officers were attacked that day. 140 injured, some severely. Ranking member Jamie Herrera Butler, one of 10 Republicans in the House who voted to impeach former President Trump, underscoring what was at stake that day.
It was literally under insurrection. The very ideals were coming under fire.
Herrera Butler saying there was a failure of leadership among security teams. Too many officers fighting back insurrectionists without knowing if help was on the way.
My hat is off to these brave men and women. They saved our lives.
Democratic Congressman Tim Ryan running the hearing today, accusing top security officials of having the intelligence they need to be more prepared, but not acting on it. Mary Alice Parks, ABC News, Washington.